good, my friend, I'm good. So my question is today,
Yeah.
we know how the master teacher ties into the biblical prophecies and what's to come. But
Yeah.
can we actually go into like the hadith prophecies, what the master teacher will fulfill in that as well? Because obviously you have Imam Isa, our master teacher's born Imam Isa al-Hadi al-Mahdi, and then you have the Mahdi, which helps our master teacher.
Okay. So, what do you want to actually know?
So just going into more detail, because we get the biblical prophecies, so we need to go into the Sabaean prophecies where the hadiths are concerned and the
Right.
Quran and
Okay.
so forth.
So, really, they call them prophecies, but a lot of what people are calling prophecies are just regurgitating writings or information that has already passed. And when you're saying that a hadith, you're really saying tells or Chinese whispers, where
Yeah.
people are relaying information, trying to explain what they say came down from a being, Allah, who's supposed to know everything. And he says there's no doubt in the Quran, but when you start reading, there is doubt, because they will say they don't know what the meaning of Alif Lam Mim is. It's like, but you said there's no doubt and everything in here. You know, it's like then you start going into things and they say to you like, oh, the Quran's never been tampered with, and you say, okay, this is not the original Arabic that it was revealed in. Then they like, I know, but we had to add all this tajweed, right, which is like tamabuta and all these vowels, and like you're like, but that's tampered with, because when you add something you've changed it. And then you go, oh, but you know what, actually there is no original Quran. They say yes, the Quran is the original, it's always been, is the best, and nothing has changed, all the Bible's been tampered with and this. And then you say no, like, where's the original then? Because they tell you when it was being revealed to Muhammad by way of Gabriel, Jabril, as they say, right? He was giving it to him in bits and pieces, and it was being written and compiled, or written in like bits of, animal skin, bones, etc., right? And you say, okay, that would be the original, right? So where is it? They don't have it.
So
But
yeah, so my standpoint on that would be, how would they even know it was the angel Gabriel? Because it was Warika, Muhammad's first wife's uncle, that said he was Gabriel. Muhammad never said he was
yeah,
Gabriel.
I know, that's what I'm saying. And if you
Yeah.
notice how names are given to people in these scriptures, it's normally an incident or a situation that happens that you get named based on that
Yeah.
situation. But as
Yeah,
you
and the
keep
only way
going,
you would have got named in that situation is through initiation process.
right, and like you say,
Yeah.
like Waraka, as you say, it was a Christian. It was an Orthodox
Yeah.
Christian. He never converted. So if this was the last message and greatest message to come and change, why did he not convert? And as you keep
Yeah.
going, and it gets to a point where I think I did a one-to-one with, we had a conversation with a few Muslims, and I was like,
Yeah.
what does the word ikra means? And he said it means to read. It means read. But then I said, but how can he read if you start off telling us he was an ummi, he wasn't able to read? All right. So then it
Yeah.
doesn't make sense to send someone to tell someone to read
Yeah,
who can't
yeah, I
read.
think a lot of it has been misinterpreted.
So
I mean, from what I know,
yeah,
the Muhammad got initiated in a cave by somebody from a learning school, and when he's coming down to like the word like Umayyad, it would have been Umayyah. So a lot of things have been lost in translation, as you
yeah.
said, because
Ultimately,
the
it is.
books have been changed over time.
Yeah, a lot
Yeah,
has been changed. That's why I said like then when I say he couldn't read, they say no, he was reciting, and then I was like, recite means you already have it in your head, because you can't
100%.
recite
Yeah.
something you haven't memorized or have in your head.
Yeah.
So as you do all of these little kind of picky, you start to remember that they'll be like, okay, these people memorized this many like years later. They then put it together and compiled it, and now you have
Yeah.
many versions, just like the Christians and the King James and a million versions. So the equivalent
Yeah.
to the hadiths is like, the writings of the Talmud, yeah, and then the
Yeah.
Gospels of, these so-called disciples that can't remember, their stories don't add up or match up. One person says this happened, another person says this happened. Most of us can't remember what we did yesterday, yet alone to recall from memory like 60, 70 years ago or hundreds of years ago, something to then put together. So we know that it's tales is it's just a spell, and people have to realize that the worst part of it is that even if you took and said, okay, let's just agree and go with the Quran, why would you need the hadiths when they'll say because the hadiths have to interpret the Bible for you and use the tafsir. That's what they're saying, like the explanations of men to explain Allah's words. But that makes Allah look like he is not capable of writing something clearly for everyone on the planet to understand and be clear about it, that they need men, mortal men, to interpret and make Allah's words clear, which is again, back to front.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So you're right. We don't deal with that. We deal with actual facts.
A lot of people don't realize that Misbatia and Sabay came way before Kara and Arabic.
Exactly.
So we need to clear it up as well.
Yeah, because you can go to Egypt today and still see the writings on the wall. You can go to China and see writings on the wall. You can go to Sumer or the Sumerian and see the Sumerian writings are in tablets that they have found. Today they're finding more and more things. Even in the place that, what's going on now with the wars, they're finding things, and like the Iraq war where they were finding tablets and destroying a lot of evidence, so the world doesn't get to really know what is being uncovered, because the truths are written in these ancient tablets and stuff. So that's why Wu-Sabat, we just deal with the actual facts, and we predate religion, and we have our own stuff. So but yeah, for people who need clarification on it, that's why the master is here. He's here to set the record straight on everything for anyone who'd like to know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shook, Zamal.